Chances are that you don't know me, but chances are that you may be just like me. Maybe not in age, sex, or cultural background, but like me, you might be one of the millions of South Africans whose income was affected due to the lockdown implemented on the 26th of March 2020 by our government. With over 500,000 deaths at the time of creating this video, the coronavirus grew from one confirmed case in December 2019 to over 8 million in less than 8 months. In March 2020, Italy was one of the countries hit hardest by the coronavirus. Due to the dramatic rate at which the infections grew, governments around the world, like ours, implemented a lockdown as a means of averting the same catastrophe. But what does this lockdown mean for us, for our health and our livelihoods? Our lives and the economy are not separate, they are interwoven principles. You can live without money, yes, but you cannot live without sustenance, which is made possible with money. The financial devastation to our economy has resulted in our government availing over 500 billion rand in social relief and economic support to keep our flailing economy going. With South Africa's education challenges, there are a large number of people who don't understand how many cogs are at work in an economy. We may understand specific sectors or industries like banking or mining, but how many of us understand just how all these individual components fit into the grand scheme of things? You see, where the South African government followed suit after Italy's lockdown. How do Italy and South Africa actually compare as countries? In 2018, South Africa's population was 58 million plus citizens. Italy was 60 million plus citizens. Our GDPs, however, are massively different. GDP, or gross domestic product, is the total monetary or market value of all finished goods and services in a country for a specified time frame. It's a universal scorecard that we can use to measure one country's economy to another. In 2018, South Africa's economy churned over 368 billion US dollars. Italy, however, churned over 2 trillion US dollars, and while these are huge numbers, what it means is that for a similar population count, our economy is over 5 times smaller. What impact and unintended consequences will this lockdown have on the future of South Africa? We are already seeing news articles about tender deals gone awry, corruption, the state of the economy, and just how much tax revenue we are losing out on. To understand what is actually going on in our economy, what can happen, what may happen, we need to understand what those cogs are that make up our economy, what they do and why they matter, how they work, have worked, and can work in the future. This series will tell that journey. It's so much more than just Jan van Riebeeck, Shaka Zulu, and apartheid, than the British, Nelson Mandela, and the founders of our republic. It's about what South Africa means in the history and future of trade, capitalism, war, the ecosystem, and the global economy. What the journey was from an untouched wilderness to a country with the #1 city in the world, with the infrastructure that enables you to watch this video on a screen in the palm of your hand, on your wall, or on your desk. My name is Ainsley Stewart, creator of Ains Explains. I started the series to get South Africans talking and thinking about some issues that impact our daily lives. I believe we understand more about the international community, their challenges and their issues than we do about what's happening on our own home soil. I may not have all of the answers, but I would like us as South Africans from all cultural backgrounds to engage in these topics and build solutions together. In this first series, I discuss finances in South Africa, the systems and the institutions that are involved, and I start off with South Africa's debt. South Africa currently has a 56% debt to GDP ratio, and what that means is that of the 5 trillion rand that our economy is expected to churn this year, over 3 trillion rand is owed in debt. Not your debt and not my debt, not credit cards, home loans or vehicle finance. It's our government's debt. To try and put things into perspective and understand what this kind of money looks like, because I don't know about you, but I personally have not seen 3 trillion rand in cash before. I used SketchUp, Trimble's 3D modeling software, and I started with a 10 rand note. It's 128 millimeters long and 70 millimeters wide. It's over 1/10 of a millimeter thick, but for the sake of this example, we'll assume that we can fit 10 into a millimeter, giving us 100 rand. At 10 millimeters or 1 centimeter, we get 1,000 rand. And at 10 centimeters, we get 10,000 rand. That's pretty straightforward. But if we had to cover the surface of a standard shipping pallet with stacks of 10,000 rand, we'd get 1.17 million rand. And I'd like to pause there for a second, because only 99.1% of our workforce earn this amount or more in a year. That means 99% of our workforce are either just beneath this threshold or have no comprehension of what it means to earn this income. Now, the standard packing height of a pallet is 2.14 meters, which means we can fit 21 levels of 1.17 million rand on a pallet, giving us a total of 24,570,000 rand per pallet. I managed to fit 22 pallets into a standard 40-foot shipping container. You know the containers that you see at harbors that are filled with all the goods we purchase from our shopping centers? And that would give us 540,540,000 rand per container. To get to the 3 trillion rand that our government owes, we would be able to fill your average football pitch with 224 containers, 24 levels high. I modeled these stacks of containers using a combination of SketchUp and Google Earth Pro to fit the containers into the iconic F&B Soccer City Stadium in Johannesburg. And if you're from the mother city, I'll show you what that looks like inside Cape Town's Greenpoint Stadium. You would be able to see these containers from the V&A waterfront, Signal Hill and Sea Point. In fact, you would be able to see these containers all the way from Robben Island. For 2020, the associated fees and interest on this debt will cost our government and its taxpayers over 220 billion rand. And there are several budgets that are smaller than this amount. It's more than we spend on hospitals, it's more than we spend on universities, it's more than we spend on economic development. It is more than the combined budget for courts, prisons, the Department of Home Affairs, the National Police Force, and our national defense. A study conducted by the World Bank found that the debt to GDP tipping point is 77%, and that countries that exceed this threshold experience a 1.7% decline in economic growth per every percentile above 77%. The effect is even worse in emerging markets like South Africa, where every percent above 64% results in a 2% decline in economic growth. South Africa is currently on 56%. Presidents Nelson Mandela and Thabo Mbeki managed to reduce this figure from the apartheid government's 46% in 1994 to 22% by 2008. President Jacob Zuma took us right back up to 50% by 2018. Moody's estimation is that our government's debt burden will reach 87% by the year 2023, and that was before lockdown hit. Due to President Jacob Zuma's plundering of our economy, combined with our high unemployment levels, our high debt levels, and our slow economic growth. As of 2020, all 3 of the world's major credit rating agencies have declared South Africa sub-investment grade or junk status. What that means is that the risk of lending to the South African government has increased because it may not be able to pay back what it has borrowed. Where will the money come from to stop South Africa turning into a Greece or a Venezuela? Countries where the governments are so indebted that they've had to cut back on things like healthcare and education, services which are crucial to all South Africans. In Michael Lewis's book, The Big Short, Inside the Doomsday Machine, it tells the story of a group of individuals who were not surprised when the global financial crisis of 2008 hit. In fact, they were waiting for it, simply because they bothered to look at the numbers. Now, you and I, we may not be investment bankers, financial analysts, or economists for that matter. But this information is freely available online and open to your interpretation. You may read it and decide it means nothing to you at all. Or you may read it and decide it means more to you than you were ever taught in school. Thank you for watching this episode of Ains Explains. I hope it's helped you appreciate just how severe our government's debt burden is and what the potential impact could be if it is not brought under control. In the next episode, I'm going to look at our government's largest form of revenue, and a topic that causes over 3 million South Africans to swear under muttered breath: tax.